We're going to keep it simple today. We got Marvin Wilson. We're keeping with the D tackles. We got this one from Florida State. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing good, and we got an interesting guy, so we'll hop right into it here. Obviously, Marvin, for anybody who's familiar, kind of coming into this season and really after last season, I should say, where he posted 5 sacks, 8.5 tackles for loss, just a solid all-around statistical year. He was considered to be one of the better defensive tackles in the nation, and a lot of people were kind of surprised that he came back. And obviously, looking at it now, it maybe looks like he shouldn't have. But Mike, what do you take from just that sort of progression from freshman and junior year, and then that sort of drop off into a senior year? What do you kind of do with that here, knowing that it was a pandemic year? Obviously, do you care about it as much, or are you still pretty concerned?
I think there is concern, but also what I saw film, I guess maybe a little bit less. Coming into that senior season, I do think probably COVID did have some impact. I think sort of towards the end of games, he looked a little bit tired. When we were first watching some film, I'm like, wow, that first step actually looks pretty quick. And then as the game progressed, it slowly got slower. So I think that definitely showed, but also he had a lot more of attention. I think most of the plays, it seemed like over at least half of them, he was either getting double team or chipped by a running back or a tight end. So I think we got more attention definitely on that defensive line come that senior season, and I think it showed. So I think that's where a lot of that lack of progression from senior season came from.
No, you're definitely not wrong there. And I know for anybody who maybe hasn't watched the film yet, who heard Mike say shit by a tight end or running back, you might be confused, being that Marvin's a 6'3", 303-pound guy. Florida State actually used him on the edge a lot as sort of a 4-tech, 5-tech. And I doubt that's where he's going to be used at the next level, in all honesty, especially considering, you look at his pro day numbers, ran a 5:09 40-yard dash, and then, which isn't bad at his size by any means, but it's not great either. And then a 25.5-inch vert and an 8 foot 11-inch broad jump. So, people have some questions about his explosiveness. I wouldn't really care that much, considering he probably is going to be shifting down to either a 1-tech or 3-tech. I know Mike and I sort of have a little bit of a debate about that, but hopping into just my sort of overall observations and grade for Marvin, I thought he was pretty solid against the run in terms of anchoring and his strength at the point of attack. I thought that he kind of let me down a little bit from play to play, similar to, say, Christian Barmore, where there would be plays where he'd do a great job, shoot his hands, shed the block, make a play. But then there's other plays where he's just getting driven off the ball, and he's definitely not holding his own, considering he is a 303-pound man. And it was just kind of sloppy, and I didn't really like that. And that's going up against college tackles. Now you put him against pro guards and centers potentially, and now I'm a little bit more concerned there. So a little bit disappointed with the 15 out of 20, but it is still solid compared to some of the other guys in the class. I thought pass rushing ability, he did have really violent and active hands. I'll say that, as you can kind of see in the block shedding, but I don't think the sort of bend and explosiveness is necessarily there, as you can see with the next grade, in terms of ability to consistently sort of put pressure on the QB, if that makes sense. And otherwise, I thought he had a solid motor, was good in terms of finishing, tackling, and just recognizing blocks, although that might slightly change a little bit as you use him more in that 1-tech, 3-tech role. But otherwise, I think he grades out right around a 69.5. So, Mike, general thoughts on the grade. Where would you go with Marvin? Do you agree, disagree? Where are you at?
I think the grade ends up right around the same, maybe a little bit higher, but I think in different areas. I actually think block shedding, I'd probably have him a little bit lower. I think once he was lined up straight with either a guard or a tackle, I think that's where he really lost. I don't think he had great leverage, kind of like when we were talking about Aleem, where he was able to get good position and not do much with it. I don't think Marvin really ever started with good position. I think a lot of the plays that I saw, it's when he was lined up right between the guard and tackle, and he was able to kind of just make his way through. He had a nice little swim move he showed a couple times, or just with explosiveness a couple times. Actually, it wasn't very consistent, but that's the plays I saw. Kind of like Barmore in the same way, where certain times you're like, okay, definitely doesn't have that explosive first step or really ability to get downfield. And others, you're like, okay, I kind of see it. I'd say I see it more in Barmore, but I'd say it was kind of similar with watching Marvin. So that's why I kind of had that 3-tech, and you're going to disagree a little bit here, but I think that's where probably his best fit is. I think when he was lined up between there and just had just get downfield in that in the 3 gap, I think that's when he did probably the most damage.
I don't necessarily think you're wrong, and I don't have a problem with teams using him as sort of a rotational three tech from time to time. But he only did 23 reps at 225, which that kind of scares me a little bit for putting him as a one tech. But with his weight and his size, I think that that's more so where he better projects. So I think that the sort of play style might fit better as a three tech, to go to your point. But I think the sort of size and build and really his strengths, in my opinion, would be more conducive as a one tech, if that makes any sense. And I do think that he does sort of offer that versatility and sort of flexibility, I guess you could say, in terms of where you want to put him. But the question is then, will he be good anywhere? You could be decent everywhere, but are you actually good anywhere? And where does that warrant you being drafted? And for me, I think I have Marvin just below Aleem McNeil, who we did in a previous video. If you haven't checked that out, obviously click the link above our heads. But no, I think that Marvin's a solid sort of late third round pick for me, Mike. So you said the grade was similar. Do you agree that that's where you would have him, just below Aleem, or do you think he's better than Aleem by chance?
Right below Aleem, and both of them a little bit higher. I honestly think maybe, okay, looking back at this, I'd probably have both of them early third round grade. I think when
Mm,
it all is said and done, I think that's probably where they belong. I think both show potential. Both have some technique problems, which I think you can work on, but I think there's opportunity. I think both come day one can come in as rotational pieces. Do I think they're a three down starter? Absolutely not. But I think they both can, eventually develop into that. And I think just even rotational as Lee McNeil just coming day one as a, space eater. He could do that come day one. And I think Marvin, I think an occasional downs, whether it be passing downs, I probably wouldn't put him in the run, but definite third and longs. I think he could definitely have some use there. So um, I probably have them both a little bit higher, but I think I do have a lead slightly over Marvin.
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I think, especially now, having seen the Aleem McNeil Pro Day numbers came out, I would maybe increase that gap a little bit, because Aleem, I'm not gonna talk about him too much, but he was 340, now he's 317. So I think there's some intrigue there. Whereas Marvin, as far as I know, still did weigh right around 303 at his pro day. But no, I think that you're kind of spot on in that, where he's not going to be a full-time starter anytime soon. Could he help into that? I think we're maybe pushing it, but there's a chance, obviously. But I do think that he can most certainly be a rotational guy there, and really have a spot in this league. So with that being said, do you have anything else, or are we getting out of here?
You guys want to talk about having a spot? How about this channel right here in the football community, the football YouTube community? So if you guys agree, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you think Marvin Wilson is the rebirth of Warren Sapp, let us know, because you're absolutely wrong. But I'm just messing. But let us know your thoughts. If you guys have a guy you guys want us to do, maybe we didn't touch it on an edge that you really like, leave a comment. Maybe we'll go back to the edge and do a video on them. We definitely would appreciate it. So I think with that though, I think we definitely mic'd up and we're micing out.
Peace,
Deuces.
guys.